Listen, I don't know who needs to hear this, but don't lose sight in the waiting. It's so surprisingly easy to forget what God has already brought us through. Not because we're ungrateful or anything, but because waiting has a way of just wearing us down. When prayers take longer than expected, when doors don't open on our timeline, when we're doing everything right but still standing in the hallway between promise and fulfillment. That's when weariness creeps in, and suddenly we stop looking back at God's faithfulness and start staring only at what hasn't happened yet. The Bible reminds us in Isaiah 40, chapter 31, that those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. But let's be honest, waiting doesn't always feel renewing. Sometimes it feels exhausting. Waiting can make you question yourself. Waiting can make you question the process. And if we're not careful, waiting can make us forget the God who carried us this far. Think about it. There was a season you prayed just to survive, and now you're standing stronger than you ever thought possible. There were moments you didn't know you'd make it through the night, and yet here you are. God didn't fail you then, and He hasn't abandoned you now. And He's not confused about where you're headed. But when we lose sight of that, we grow weary. Weariness doesn't always look like giving up. Sometimes it looks like going through the motions, still showing up, but without expectation, still praying, but without hope, still believing, but quietly bracing for disappointment. And that's why it's so important to remember. Remember the prayers God already answered. Remember the doors He closed to protect you. Remember the strength you didn't know you had until He gave it to you. Because remembrance fuels faith. So how do we stay productive in the waiting? First, we got to stay rooted. The waiting season isn't a pause on purpose. It's simply preparation. What you do now matters just as much as you are going to do where you're going. Pray even when it feels repetitive. Read the word even when it feels familiar. Serve when you feel unseen. Second, we shift our focus. Instead of asking, when will this ever end, Lord? Ask, what is God building in me right now? Patience? Endurance? Trust? Discernment? These aren't delays. These are simply deposits. And finally, we keep the faith through action. Faith isn't passive. Faith shows up. Faith keeps moving. Faith keeps sowing even when the harvest feels far away. Galatians 6 chapter 9 tells us, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Not if God is faithful, but when the time is right. So today, if you're tired, if you're waiting, if you're wondering whether God sees you, just remember, you're not forgotten. You are not behind, and you are not walking alone. So don't lose sight of what God has already done. Don't grow weary in the waiting, and don't underestimate what He's doing even now. Because the same God who brought you through it is the same God who's going to carry you forward.
Learning how to breathe, spinning through identity, reveal another pretty little scheme.